Hank here with my review of the Maonocaster C2 Neo. The Maono C2 Neo retails for $59.99 US. Inside the box, you get the Maonocaster, a USB-C to C cable, an aux cable, and, of course, documentation. Build-wise, it has a lightweight plastic body. The knobs and faders have as much wobble as you'd expect in this price range. However, there are some vibrant rubber buttons that include RGB lighting. On the top of the device, you have a gain knob and then a gain slider. You have an aux volume knob. You have a USB and stream out, and you have a headphone fader. Along the bottom row, you have 48 volts phantom power, Bluetooth, reverb presets, sidechain, direct monitoring, and loopback, pitch presets, and then ABC sound pads. More on those later. Along the back of the device, you have the mic combo jack, you have an aux port, you have a headphone out 3.5 millimeter port, you have a stream out port, it's also 3.5 millimeter, you have a USB-C connection. Next to that, you have another USB-C connection that is for power. And lastly, you have a power button. Now you've heard the Shure SM7B. Now let's switch to a condenser microphone. Now I'm on the Worker B2 by Neat Microphones. Obviously, switching to a condenser microphone has allowed me to drop the gain down extensively. And here's how it sounds. Let's say you wanted to get your game on. The Maonocaster Neo is a good device for gaming. Check this out. Okay, so using an HDMI device that I'll put on the screen, I was able to split the audio and video. So I have video going to the capture card and TV, and then I have audio coming in the aux on the Maonocaster C2 Neo. Using the aux knob, I'm able to change the volume of the game.
What you see is a very confident quarterback.
Like such. If you're a gamer, this would be a great way for you to live stream, get game audio into the stream, and have your own voice coming through as well at the same time. So on the sound pads, you hold down a corresponding button to erase for 3 seconds. Once it stops flashing, that means it has erased whatever was there. And then, having my phone connected through the aux, I'm going to add my sound effects on here instead of recording something through the microphone. So this time, I would do a short press to enter recording mode, play the sound effect, and then another short press to stop recording. Now, to see if it works, we'll do a short press on the sound pad to see if it went through. When it comes to noise reduction, you know I do not like noise reduction on hardware devices for the most part. While I'll try them here and there to see if I can fine-tune them, I typically don't like them. But at least the Neo allows you to turn this off. But let's turn it on. This is noise cancellation low. Yeah, it's cutting me up. Way too bad. While I couldn't make a call via Bluetooth, connecting is very simplistic, and my phone discovered the Neo instantly. Sounded okay, and no issues there. So now with sidechain, when I start talking, I should overtake the music. When it comes to streaming, sometimes you want to go through the voices, the pitch voices.
So this is female. This
is male. This
is the dreaded baby voice that everybody hates.
Now I'm a robot. Do I sound like a robot?
Off is the best position for that. Reverb presets, karaoke reverb, church reverb, hall reverb, valley reverb. It takes a second to kick in. Room reverb, and back off, which is where that should stay as well. I love that there is a power button on this device. I wish all interfaces would come with it. So at $59.99 US dollars, I'm very excited that it does have its own power switch. There have been other audio interfaces that have touted portability, but I do believe and feel like that this device delivers on the portability portion of it. So instead of bringing my gaming into this little makeshift studio, I want to take the gaming into the living room so I can have all the comfort of the couch without a whole bunch of extra wires hooking up an audio interface. And surprisingly enough, for $59.99, I think that the preamp is pretty decent. With the ability to push 60 dB a gain, I think that is very admirable of Maono to be able to pull that off effectively. So you'll be able to use a mic that's hard to drive, like the Shure SM7B, and not have any worries on the gain front. While I do have some issues with the headphone output that I'll get to in a minute, I do appreciate how loud you can push the sound. I'm able to push the headphones to a very loud point, so that is a huge plus. I am extremely excited that they included an aux input. As you saw, I was able to put game audio in there from my console using the splitter. However, you could take game audio from a PC, route it out of a PC into this device as well, and then go into another PC if you're using a 2 PC setup. So I think there are some cool applications that could be performed with that. And the stream out port, that is a cool plus. I thought the Bluetooth worked just fine, and for under $60, I'm kind of surprised they even included it, but glad they did. Lastly, I do like the inclusion of the 3 sound pads. I'm a sucker for sound pads, so the fact that you get 3 of them, and as I showed you earlier, you can add your sounds into them a little bit easier than expected. When it comes to some cons, I will say the headphone slider on my particular device is really finicky, meaning that when I'm messing around with it, I can get a little bit of noise. And I also have a difficult time, if I'm lowering it, getting it dialed in at the lower level. It appears to cut out a little earlier than at the very end of the stop. So just a note that on my particular device, there's a little bit of play in not only in the fader itself, but in the stepping of the volume. The direct monitoring latency is a issue. But once you get dialed in, and as long as you're confident you're not popping your P's and stuff, you could dial that back and still listen to the aux in. That's what I've been doing to compensate for this. But that direct monitoring, that little bit of lag between what I say and it coming back to me, is a bit off-putting. Another con is the noise reduction. I just found it to be too heavy-handed, and I'm kind of hoping companies will start straying away from that and give us something more functional, like my last con. No dedicated mute button. Give me a dedicated mute button. I think you could lose some of the gimmick stuff and just add a nice mute button. Obviously, you can play with the gain knobs and get your volume out, but then you got to track back to where you were at. So I just like the inclusion of a mute button in the future. If you're a subscriber, you know I can be extremely nitpicky. For $59.99, this is a really good value, a really good purchase. I'm keeping mine. I am going to use it for the gaming application, so I don't have to bring everything in here. I can take some of my setup into the living room. If you're a budget streamer, I think this is the device for you. I had a lot of fun testing it. It's taken me quite a while to get this review together, and I appreciate Maono for sending this one over for me to check out. Be sure to chime in the comments down below. As always, thank you.